Facing a legal challenge tonight over its Greek life. A group of female students says they've faced unwelcome sexual advances while attending frat parties and argue the only way to put a stop to it is by allowing women to join fraternities. So let's discuss it with radio host Ethan Behrman and Campus Reform contributor Emma Meshell. Great to have you both with us tonight.
Great to be here.
Thanks, Shannon.
Okay, I'm going to start with this. This is one of the plaintiffs who says why it's important that women should be allowed into the male fraternities at Yale.
Sororities don't tend to have nearly the same connections as fraternities. Fraternities often have people, I think, in higher positions of power, and certainly on campus they occupy a much higher social space.
So, Emma, the women say that they're at a disadvantage by not having the networking and the alumni and all those kinds of things that they would get if they could be in the frat.
Well, what this really boils down to is the Constitution. We have a constitutional right to freedom of association in America, and fraternities are private institutions. They fundraise for themselves, they're off campus, and they operate independently. And for the government or for Yale University to impose a lack of the freedom of association into this group would be disastrous.
Well, the women in the lawsuit describe parties. They say they were groped. It's a terrible place to be in these parties, and that they need to clean it up by allowing more women into the space. The Yale College Dean, Marvin Chun, is quoted as saying this in response to another fraternity matter. He says, "I condemn the culture described in these accounts. It runs counter to our community's values of making everyone feel welcome, respected, and safe. I also offer some plain advice about events like these. Don't go to them." Ethan?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, we can talk about the events that happen at fraternities. I was a member of a fraternity myself, but it's this simple thing. The statistics are horrible. The amount of sexual abuse that happens by fraternity members is at triple the rate of standard university students. And universities do have the right to push these things down on things like fraternities because the Greek councils are part of the university. Look, I think anything that we can do to reduce sexual assaults on campus is a good thing. Let's look at this a little bit further.
I know. I keep thinking, though, about women moving into the frat house. I'm not sure if that helps or hurts the problem, but I want you both to react quickly to this. A piece on Forbes.com by Professor Kim Elsesser, who says this: the increased interaction would force men and women to get to know each other as people. Women wouldn't just be seen as dates or sex partners, but they'd be seen studying through the night to pass a biology test or preparing for a job interview. Stereotyping and objectification would naturally decrease. Emma, is that how it works?
Well, it's actually been tried before. Harvard University put a rule in place that said that fraternities and sororities on campus had to be co-ed. And a student that I know that goes to Harvard, she was part of a sorority. She said she joined for the friendship and the networking. And when Harvard enforced this rule, membership dropped so low that it was no longer worth it to even be a part of the sorority to begin with. So what we see here is an adverse effect that does the opposite of what it's intended to do.
Ethan, final word to you.
Yeah, well, anecdotally, that's an interesting case. But overall, again, when we talk about the sexual assault, and exactly as Shannon just reported, anytime that we can reduce the objectification of the opposite sex and we can remove the over-testosterone situation that's happening, that's causing these situations to occur, I say let's reduce sexual assault on campus. And if this is a way to do it, let's give it another try.
Ethan, we are glad your testosterone is under control. And Emma, we thank you for joining us. Y'all both have a great weekend.
You too.
All right,
Thanks, Shannon.
Up next.